In this video, we will be exploring about how to improve our Flask applications via blueprint authentication. For this project, I will be working with the Diary API that we worked on in a previous video, and I will have that linked in the description below. But if you haven't watched that and you have a current Flask application that you want to scale upwards using blueprints, you can apply it with that as well. So, let me first explain to you guys the purpose of blueprints. So, currently this is how our app looks like. So, our app is a REST API, and as you can see, whenever there's a request from, let's suppose, a phone, the REST API has one file or a couple of files that are running, where there is the main server, and then there's the making of the diary, so make diary, deleting diary, and any sorts of error handling that occur. And it also works with the MySQL database. So this code is not very scalable as all the code is mainly in one spot. It's also a lot more messy, therefore prone to errors, and the code is in one place. Now let's add some blueprints. Let's see how this design looks now. So with our blueprints, what we do is we take certain functionality and package it and keep it inside of the REST API. Therefore, the code is a lot more clean, scalable, and easier to fix. So let's open up our VS Code application. Okay, this is the VS Code application. So, as seen over here, we currently have two files. We have the entry manager, so this is our classes. Then we have our app.py with our two routes. We also have this DB set up, but we don't need to worry about that. I'll just keep that in there in case if somebody wants to try it out. Okay, first thing what you're going to want to do is create a new file. This new file will store all of this data regarding the diaries, the API endpoints. So I'm going to call this entry template, because you're entering data, right? And it's in a template. So entry template.py. The next thing we're going to do is import Flask, Jsonify, and Blueprint. So from Flask, import Flask, Jsonify, and Blueprint. And since this is a REST API application, I will also have Flask RESTful. So from Flask RESTful, import API resource, and I think that's enough. Yeah. Okay. The next thing what we're going to want to do is set up a blueprint template. So let's call our blueprint template entry template. This is because by having the files with the same name, we are less prone to errors. So, and it's going to create an instance of blueprint. Okay, and it's going to be called entry template. And we also need some environment variables as to what the name of the file is. So you can just do __ name. That will work for any situation. I tried deploying an API onto a cloud hosting service, and __ name does work. Okay. The next thing we're going to want to do is initialize our API. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this code over here, and we're just going to take the code from here, and we're just going to copy it over to the template. So let's just do that. Okay. So actually no, we still have to keep that there because this is our main file, right? So it still has to run. So, but what I did still was fundamentally correct, that we need the Flask app in there. Or no, we don't need the Flask app, but we still need the API. All right, but instead of having it as app.py, we're going to have it as entry template. So what's happening here is that I'm creating an instance of an API from the blueprint. The next thing what I want to do is create my API resources. So I can just take them from here and cut and paste. And this API is directly linked to the API variable, which opens up the API instance of entry template. Okay. What's the next thing we're going to want to do? The next thing that we're going to want to do is, we also need to fork over our classes. So we're just going to take our classes and connect them into here. Okay, so I think that's enough for the, that's all we have to do. The next thing we're going to want to do is set up our blueprint so that it communicates with app.py to entrytemplate.py. Okay, wait, let me just make this a bit bigger to see. That might improve your... Okay. So in order to connect it, we don't need to import the blueprint library. We just need to register the blueprint. So we're going to go app.register blueprint, and we're going to tell the file name. So it's entry template. It's called entry template. But wait, as you can see, it's not appearing over here. That's because we need it imported. So we're just going to go from entry template, import entry template. All right, now we're just going to register the entry template. And we also want to add a prefix, so a URL prefix. So what that basically means is that, let's suppose if I had a much bigger API that had a lot more endpoints, like logging in, posting data, posting pictures, etc., I would want different URL prefixes regarding what's happening. So let's implement that over here because it's a good practice. So currently we're working on data entry. So we can call this diary because it's diary entry, right? And it's going to be called /diary. And we're going to use a capital D. Okay? So now I've set up my very first blueprint. Okay. We can also add, okay, so this is all we need to add right now. So let's just run this before we do anything else. So as you can see, it's running perfectly fine. Now let's just open up a web browser. Okay. So for web browsers, I just suggest to use Chrome because, well, Chrome has very good dev tools. Okay, so the first thing we're just going to want to do is just copy this link over here, which is our local host. And before we start to write in an API endpoint like make diaries, we need to first write our URL prefix of diary, /diary, and we're going to make our diary. So let me just, so your title and then your content. So make diary. Our title will be day 99 and blueprint should work. Okay, URL not found. So as you can see, we're getting a 404 error. So let's just see what's wrong with that. Okay, we have a 404 error. All right, so the first thing we're gonna check to see is there an error with the way we registered our blueprint? Because that might be our problem. Nope. User template. Oh, we haven't imported our entry manager. So let's just import our manager file. This is just our extra class that we made. Okay. So that is one issue with using blueprints, is that it's harder to debug. Whoops. Is that it? Okay, no. All right. So I believe the problem with the way we're doing this is that we need a package. We need to package these blueprints. So what that basically means is to take all of our entry data and we need to convert it into a package that is basically a file, and then the main app can access the what's it called? It can access the blueprint later on. So first thing we're going to want to do is create our first file. So in this file, we're going to call it diary package. Or in fact, you know what, let's just call it diary with a capital D, diary. Okay, first of all, we're going to set an init.py, so file. So init.py, we're not going to write anything in here. The purpose of init.py is to let the compiler know that diary is a package and not a file itself. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to import the diary file, the diary template, as well as the entry manager. Okay, perfect. The next thing we're going to want to do is, what's the next thing we're going to want to do? The next thing we will want to do is import from the entry manager into diary template. So in order to do this, we will simply need the file name and import that. So we'll go from diary.entry manager, import manager. Okay, I think that's enough. All right, so now let's try and run this app. Actually, wait, no, we also need to import the entry template from the diary file. It's going to be from diary.entry template, import the entry template. Let's just run this. Okay. No module named entry manager. Oh. Yeah, we don't need this anymore. Okay. All right, it's running. And let's just try this out again. Did it work? No. Diary, make diary. Oh, there was an error with our, there's also an error in our, the name of our endpoint. Make diaries. Now let's just try this out. Status is true. Okay, so let's just check this out on our MySQL workbench. Help. Let's go to diary, tables, select rows. So yeah, day 99 blueprint should work. So as you can see, we have now successfully created our blueprint onto our app. Also, another thing to notice is that you don't need to make it into a package like how I did. I thought that was an error, but it turns out I just wrote the endpoint incorrectly. However, I still strongly encourage to package all of these extra pieces of code. By packaging all of your extra pieces of code, your code is much more efficient, and it's a lot easier to debug, and it's just easier to look at, right? Because if I want to look at the diaries, I can just click this file and all that data is there. Okay, so that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a nice day.